Hello class, this is Demetrius Wilson again with Organizational Behavior. We are now on Chapter 6, Week 6, and we're going to be discussing designing a motivating work environment. Our learning objectives for this chapter are: describe the history of job design approaches, understand how to increase the motivating potential of a job, understand why goals should be SMART, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard that acronym before, set SMART goals, give performance feedback effectively, and also to describe individual, team, and organization-based incentives that can be used to motivate the workforce. Motivation at Nucor. So producing steel is hot and demanding work, obviously. Employees who are motivated are much more productive, as evidenced by Nucor's success. So you guys are going to have that case study in your book. If you can't see it in your book, Google it, look it up. Very interesting case study. Scientific management, and this is where it all started, and job specialization. Scientific management is based on ideas from Frederick Taylor's 1911 book, Principles of Scientific Management. We say 1911, that was a long time ago. It's very outdated, but there are some things that still apply. Among the most influential books of the 20th century. Job specialization. It breaks down jobs into their simplest components and assign tasks so each employee performs a select number of tasks in a repetitive manner. Now, there are some pros and there are some cons to job specialization. Scientific management and job specialization. The Ford panel assembly line in Berlin, Germany, I think, is an example of specialization. Each person on the line has a different job. So I have the job of, let's say we're making baby dolls for Christmas. I put the head and the arms on, goes down to you, you put the legs on. Everybody has a different task to complete. Now, there are some alternatives to job specialization. Job rotation, moving employees from job to job at regular intervals. I interviewed for a company that actually did this. They were called McMaster Car Supply Company. It was very early on in my career. I failed the interview, didn't do well. They didn't call me back for a second interview, but very interesting company. They did a lot of job rotation. For 2 months, you would be the receptionist, and then you would be moved to the warehouse. So they were training many managers so that somebody could know the entire business. Job enrichment, allowing workers more control over how they perform tasks. Sit down with them and say, hey, what do you think the best way to do this is? Don't think about what I told you to do. Let's think about what you think we should be doing. And job enlargement, expanding the tasks performed by employees to add more variety. Now, you have to be careful about that because you have to be able to effectively manage and gauge the employee's bandwidth and how much more they can take. The job characteristics model. Core job characteristics are skill variety. So, what type of skills do you have? Can you do A, can you do B, and can you do C, or can you just do A? Task identity. What are the different tasks that you have to complete? Task significance. Are those tasks really important? Is it something just to keep you busy, or is it something that's really beneficial to the company? Autonomy. So autonomy is obviously the ability to kind of work through things and do them on your own and have your own type of independence as you work. And then feedback. We're all familiar with feedback. Some may be positive, some may be negative, but feedback is, hey, you're doing this well, you're doing this incorrectly. Let me give you some feedback so that you can do it more to the specifications that we want and need. Psychological states. Meaningfulness. Is what you're doing meaningful? Is it meaningful to you? Is it meaningful to the company? Responsibility. Is it your responsibility? Is it other people's responsibility? Is it shared? What's the specifics on that? Knowledge of results. Do you have a knowledge of the results and what you complete? It's funny. I like to sit down with my staff and say, this is what you're doing and this is how it relates to the end result, and kind of lead them with breadcrumbs to the all the way up to the finish, and then lead them all the way back to the beginning and show them how what they're doing has to do with our end result. And if it doesn't have to do with our end result, then you need to not be doing it. Outcomes, motivation, Obviously, that's what we're talking about this chapter. Performance, how are you performing? Satisfaction, are you satisfied with your performance? Is your manager satisfied with your performance? Are other departments satisfied with your performance? Absenteeism, is the outcome absenteeism where you say, you know what, I'm just not going to come to work because I'm not really motivated by how meaningful my job is. And turnover, if it's not meaningful for an extended period of time, you're obviously going to probably leave the company, which, we never want. To calculate motivation potential score, or MPS, you take your skill variety plus task identity, and then you have task significance. So those are three separate categories, and then you multiply that by autonomy and feedback, and then that's how you get your MPS, or motivation potential score. The key thing we do in calculations like that is, as long as you keep them consistent in regards to how you're measuring and gauging those numbers. If you keep it consistent, then the results will be consistent. And I skip, just making sure I didn't skip a slide. So back to our organizational behavior toolbox. So you want to increase the feedback you receive. Seek it, right? If your manager's not giving you feedback, go seek it, because you don't want to be left out in limbo. If you are not receiving enough feedback on the job, it is better to seek it instead of trying to guess how you are doing. You really want to know how you're doing, because that's what's tied into your performance evaluation, your raises, your cost of living adjustments, things of that nature. Be genuine in your desire to learn. So don't fake it. Be genuine. Say, you know what, I want to learn some new things. I want to do this. I want to do that. Right? I go to my manager, say, hey, you know what? I feel like I've got these things under control. Give me something else. I can do it. Sometimes, maybe it's too much. I feel like I'm the guy on that Allstate commercial who's juggling at Venice Beach, and he's watching the guy, and he's like, oh, give it to me. The guy's juggling a torch and a chainsaw, and he's like, oh, I can do it. I can do it. But, it's better to feel that way than to just sit back and just be complacent and very comfortable. Develop a good relationship with your manager. So you don't have to be in love with your manager, but develop a good relationship with them, and be there so you guys can learn and grow together. And you have to have a good working relationship. I'm not saying be Facebook buddies or besties outside of work, but you do have to have a good working relationship. Consider finding trustworthy peers who can share information with you regarding your performance. So somebody who has nothing to lose or gain, just ask them, what do you think? How do you think I'm doing? Look for an open and honest person, and they'll give you good feedback, and then go from there. And be gracious when you receive the feedback. They're actually doing you a favor. A lot of times, we may not take feedback the right way, but I will tell you, in my past experience, a lady, she called me and chewed me up, and she was a recruiter, about my resume. And just said, your resume is terrible, you're not reflecting all the things that you've done, and had me totally change it. And I didn't get the job that she was recruiting me for. 6 interviews, didn't get the job. Heartbreaker, I know. But I ended up getting another job, and I know that the only reason why they contacted me was because of the resume that I had. So all these things, they all happen for a reason. So empowerment. So you look at structural empowerment. I'm giving you the power to make decisions, right? You can apply credits all the way up to $500. If it's not over $500, don't come to me with it. You're empowered to make the right decision, because I know that I've trained you and told you how to make the right decision. So in structural empowerment, you have decision authority, leadership styles, organizational structure, you have access to information, and organizational climate. So which drills down to felt empowerment. So meaningful work, you're feeling confident about performing your job. You don't have to come ask me about every little thing. Having discretion and autonomy at work, and ability to influence how the company operates. Well, I've been doing these things, and I've been noticing that these credits are stemming from this problem that we have. Can we go out and fix this problem? As always, they have the discussion questions. I want you guys to read those and go over them with one of your study groups, partners in class, partners outside of class, and just learn. These things can be used not only in the workplace, but they can definitely be used out in your normal life and also at school. Back to our organizational behavior toolbox, tips for empowering employees. And one thing I just want to, before I continue with this part, is to make sure that you guys are looking at all of this from not only a manager's perspective, but also look at it from an employee's perspective, right? Because unless you're at the very, very top, You have a manager. Whether your manager be an executive or a vice president or a director or somebody else, you still have a manager. So this should all still apply no matter where you're at throughout the organization. So you want to change the company structure so that employees have more power on their jobs, right? They don't have to run for you for everything. That frees you up to do other things as a manager. Provide employees with access to information about things that affect their work, right? Show them some things. Now, you can't show them all confidential information, but show them, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. Get them excited. Get them motivated. Make sure that employees know how to perform their jobs. They have to have that job knowledge. Make sure they know it, and then let them out. And even if they make mistakes, mistakes are good. Like I said before, I make 17.5 mistakes a day. That's my quota, and it's okay to make a mistake. It's not the end of the world. Do not take away employee power. Don't come in and say, you know what, I know you guys used to do these things, but now I'm going to take them back. Right? I've done that before in the past. Sometimes it's for specific reasons, but most times you actually just don't want to do that. You want to let them keep some power and let them feel good about their jobs. And you also want to instill a climate of empowerment where managers do not routinely step in and take over. So you don't want to step in and say, get out of the way. Let me do it. Let me do it. That's not how it works. You want to show them how to do it and let them learn, whatever their learning process may be. Goal setting theory is one of the most influential and practical methods of motivation. It has been rated as the most important of 73 theories, supported in over 1,000 studies, and is used by thousands of organizations. You have to set goals. You can't just come in and flounder and say, oh, I'm just going to come in, bam, 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 clack on the keys, and then I'm going to leave, bam, 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 and I'm out of here, right? You have to have goals set. And speaking of goals, SMART goals. I'm sure you guys have all heard the term SMART goals, and this is great. I go over this with my employees as well. So SMART goals are, S is for specific. These goals need to be specific. I need for you to make 132 calls per week. It's specific. Measurable. It also has to be measurable. Can I measure it? Amount of calls, amount of time, amount of dollars saved, amount of dollars sold. Those are measurable. They have to be aggressive. I don't want to give you a goal that you can reach within the first 2 hours of work and then kick your feet up on the desk and relax. They need to be aggressive. You need to push yourself. But they also need to be realistic. I don't want to say, you know what, I want you to make 500 calls a day. That's not realistic. Thinking that you're just going to make as many calls as you can. It's not going to work like that. It's going to have the negative effect and lead you back going the other direction. And they have to be time bound, right? I need you to do this within a day. I need you to do ABC within an hour. It has to be time bound. Specific, measurable, aggressive, realistic, and time bound. SMART goals. So why do SMART goals motivate? They energize people. Hey, I've got this goal. It's kind of aggressive. It gets me energized. I'm going to reach it. I feel good about myself when I leave after the day is over. It gives direction. Instead of just coming in and saying, oh, I'm going to look at this, I'm going to look at that, and maybe they're not going to do exactly what you want them to do, it gives them direction to do exactly what you need for them to do. It provides them a challenge. Hey, where's the challenge at? Nobody wants to come in and not have a challenge. If you don't have a challenge, you'll definitely be bored eventually, and then that leads to turnover and people absenteeism and things of that nature. It makes you think outside of the box. Don't always think the normal way. Think of ways to do things better. Like I talked about before, the second right answer. Yes, you have the right answer, but is there a better way to do it? Don't say, oh, we've always done it this way. So what? You've always done it this way? Let's do it a different way. SMART goals. So when are goals more effective? Well, goals are more effective when you have feedback, right? Did I reach the goal? Did I not reach the goal? Your manager or you as a manager need to give appropriate feedback. Ability, right? When you have the ability to complete the goals, they're going to be more effective because you actually have the chance and opportunity to do so. But there are other goals and other situations where people know you don't have the ability and they'll put you in that same situation to hopefully fail. I've been put in that situation before at work. I didn't have a certain ability, but I went to the right person, taught me how to do a task, and then I gained that ability and I succeeded at what they needed for me to do. And goal commitment. Are you committed to those goals? Are you committed to making it happen? I'm committed to my goals because I go in every day knowing that, hey, what I'm doing affects how much my raise will be at the end of the year and if I can get a bonus or not. I'm committed to my goals, and that is one of the main reasons why. Are there downsides to goal setting? Of course. There are downsides to everything. Learning decreases because you're totally, you're laser focused on your goals. Adaptability declines because you're only focused on certain things relative to your goals. Narrow thinking may develop because, like I said, you're only thinking about your goals because that's what's related to your wage, your cost of living adjustment, and things of that nature. And ethical problems may increase because, hey, let's be honest, everybody's not honest, and they may cheat to try and reach those goals. And when I say cheat, before I go on to management by objectives, I'll give you an example. If I'm running a call center, and I've seen this before, people get calls, they say hello, hello, act like they don't hear the person, and then they hang up. And that helps to increase the amount of calls that they took, and it also helps to decrease the average talk time for their goals. So, lots of tricks of the trade out there. So management by objectives. So let's start with the top. Use corporate strategy to set company-wide goals. These are our goals as a company. Everybody knows what they are. Here are our marching orders. Let's go forward. And we move forward to determine team and department level goals. So those team and department level goals have to support the corporate or company-wide goals. It'll be a breakdown if you don't support the company-wide goals. Then you go to collaboratively set individual level goals that align with the corporate strategy. So company goals, department goals, drilled all the way down to individual goals. You want to develop an action plan, see how you can put those goals and those actions into play to reach those goals, and then periodically review performance and revise goals. Maybe you guys are superseding the goals and we need to increase the goals. You're making 3,000 widgets and we only said that you should make 2,000. Well, then we need to change the goals. Then again, discussion. These are pretty good ones. Give an example of a SMART goal. I want you to check that one out specifically. And the second one too, if a manager tells you to sell as much as you can, is this goal likely to be effective? Why or why not? No, it's not effective. You don't have something that you reach. You don't know at what level have you done well or are you still doing bad. You have to be specific. I once had a lady who came to me and she was trying to prioritize her duties. And she went to her manager and said, "Can you prioritize these for me?" And he said, they're all equally important. Well, no, they cannot all be equally important. If nothing's of more importance, then nothing has a high priority, right? So that he was definitely sending the wrong message. Performance appraisals. I'm in the thick of this right now, writing my performance appraisals for my employees. Many companies have a formal company-wide process of providing feedback to employees. You sit down, you talk about it. These are the pros, these are the cons. Hopefully using something like the sandwich method where you're telling them something good, and in the middle you're telling them, hey, this is what I need you to improve. But then at the end you're telling them something positive as well. So your two pieces of bread are the positive things, and your meat in the middle is maybe the negative thing that I need for you to fix or adjust. So performance appraisal questions. How often? Well, my company, we do it once a year, but I have worked at a company who did it twice a year. I think once a year is better. What is the purpose? The purpose is to establish goals, make sure that they're on task, and also sometimes it may be to stack rank employees and to say, you know what, this is where you guys stand, and should we have to have a RIF or reduction in force, this is what will happen or will occur with these employees because I've ranked this person here and this person there. What makes an effective system, right? What makes it effective? Is it kind of strategized the right way, or is it just kind of just thrown in there and say, hey, here's talk about yourself and let's go from there? And who is the rater? Well, in my situation, I'm the rater, but I've worked for some organizations in which the management or VP or executives have had no input, and I've worked at other organizations when they've kind of taken the review and they've crossed it up and said, no, fix this and change that. It just varies to where you are. And absolute versus relative ranking appraisals. Now, absolute and relative are very different, so you are going to have to pay close attention to the differences between the two. So absolute is a rating based on a standard that is applied equally to everyone, equally across the board. Scores are based solely on individual performance. Now, relative ranking rating is based on rank within all ratings, and final score is dependent on individual performance measured against another individual's performance, right? So you're measured against somebody else as opposed to it being absolute. And if you see the little arrow there at the bottom, it says relative is viewed more negatively by employees. So back to your toolbox. It's growing. I know you may have to go out and buy a new toolbox to put all these new tools that you're receiving in there. Conducting an effective performance appraisal meeting. So before the meeting, ask the person to complete a self-appraisal. And most companies I work for do this. Where do you think you stand? And a lot of times you'll see that people do struggle with this. But then the other times you'll see people say, oh, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And a lot of times they're actually wrong. Complete the performance appraisal form, obviously, and avoid bias and handle the logistics. Handle logistics meaning where's the meeting going to be at, time and schedule it. Make sure that you have the meeting room covered on your Outlook calendar. During the meeting, be sure to recognize effective performance. You did it good, I'm going to recognize you. I don't just want to talk about negative things in here. Do not start the meeting with the criticism. Don't say, you know what, Demetrius, you're just not doing a great job. But let's talk about what you did this year. Give employees lots of opportunities to talk. So even if you don't want to hear them, you need to hear them out. You have to be patient. You have to sit there and listen to them and hear them out. Show empathy and support, right? You have to support them in what they do. And set goals and create an action plan, right? So we're done with this. We're done with this year. You've shown empathy and support and said, I understand, I know you're having a tough time in life and this is what, attributed to this. But then you want to go forward and set good goals and create an action plan. Next year is going to be great. We're going to get some momentum. And you got to remember to remind these people of these goals throughout the year so that they stay motivated. Bias in performance appraisals, that's always going to be there. If we're buddy-buddy and we hang out on the weekend, yeah, I'm probably going to give you the benefit of the doubt. If the two of us, let's take another scenario, we butt heads and we argue all the time, then I'm probably not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. That's, human nature. I personally am not like that, and I would hope that most managers are very consistent in their treatment of others. So you go from liking, leniency, stereotypes, all lead to unfair appraisals. More discussion questions, go through those, discuss them with your family, friends. Just become an expert on organizational behavior. Performance incentives. Everybody loves incentives. I know I certainly do. It makes me, as they say, go hard in the paint when I'm going to work, and I'm making sure that I'm on task and I'm trying to do what I need to do because there are incentives out there for me. You can have a piece rate system. How many widgets do I make a day? If I make 100 widgets, then I get $1 per widget made by $100. Individual bonuses. I sold a certain amount of bikes. I get a bonus for that. Merit pay. That's what most companies I've worked for do. We're going to give you a 3.7% increase, and typically, just so you know, 3.7 is not normal. It's more around like 2.5% increase per year. Sales commissions. You do sales, right? You should be used to receiving commissions. A lot of times they have what they call a draw. So they'll pay you a certain amount, really low amount, and then you have the opportunity to make a lot of commissions. Awards, Starbucks gift cards, McDonald's gift cards, all kinds of things, gift cards to Walmart. Team bonuses, right? Your team got this accomplished, boom, we're going to have a pizza party, or you guys are all going to get $50. Profit sharing and gain sharing, sharing what the company is doing great. We made $1 billion. We're going to give each of you guys $1,000. And stock options, we're going to reward you guys with various levels of stock options. So performance incentives. So properly designed sales commissions are widely used to motivate sales employees. Because if you don't have good sales commissions in there, if you're going to get paid for sales the same amount no matter what you do, you're just going to go in there and be like, hey, you know what? This bike, it's okay, but you can get a better bike down at the other shop, and be brutally honest, you're not going to be motivated to sell the bikes at that store. The blend of straight salary and commission should be carefully balanced to achieve optimum sales volume, profitability, and customer satisfaction. And companies, do a lot of research on this, so they're definitely not ignorant in this regard. Back to our discussion questions. Have you ever been rewarded under any of the incentive systems described in this chapter? I definitely have most of the ones on the board, and like I said, I'm motivated by the incentives because I've come to count on those. Now, you probably shouldn't, if you want to be fiscally responsible, you shouldn't count on bonuses and things of that nature, but I've come to count on them because I feel like I've done a good job and I go 100%, and I feel like I should be rewarded those things. Motivating employee ethics. So when goal accomplishment is rewarded, and when goal and rewards are desirable, employees will have two basic options. So when You are rewarding goals, and the goals, the things that they receive because of them reaching those goals are desirable to the employees. They have two options: work hard to reach the goals or cheat to reach the goals, right? Those are two things that are running through their head. You're going to get $1,000 at the end of this month if you do ABC. I'm going to either work hard to reach those goals or I'm going to cheat to reach those goals. One of the two. Or maybe, they don't have the one on there. Maybe I'll just say, you know what, I'm not going to reach that goal. Forget it. I'm just going to chill on easy street and take my foot off the gas like usual. And motivating employees around the globe, goals are perceived as difficult. American employees, motivation goes down. Chinese employees, motivation goes up. Now, this isn't everybody, because you may listen to this and say, well, wait a minute. If goals perceived are difficult, I get motivated, I get hyped up, and I say, hey, I'm going to get this done. That's how I am. So it doesn't mean I'm a Chinese employee, but it means that I am actually just an individual who thinks that way. These are all just generalizations. And so, ending with your discussion questions, do you have any experience with goal setting leading to unethical behaviors and things of that nature? Check them out, ask your friends, and it would be great if you ask and talk to people that have some experience with these different questions. That'll definitely help you to get some very good insight for your class and to further increase your organizational behavior toolbox. Again, as always, have a good day. Have a great week. I'll talk to you soon.